Welcome back. As we earlier said, that yesterday witnessed a historic, spectacular event that amazed the whole world. The whole world was watching in admiration. Of course, President Abdel Fattah Sisi inaugurated the 3,000-year-old Sphinx Avenue and one of a kind grand opening ceremony in Luxor. And this avenue of the Sphinx is a 3,000-year-old walkway and an extension of the Karnak temple complex. It connects to the Luxor temple 3 kilometers down the Nile Eastern shore. And very delighted to be having with us live here in the studio Mr. Tarek Sarhan. He's a Japanese-Polish-English tour guide. Good morning, Mr. Sarhan.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It was really a beautiful evening yesterday that most of the people or viewers who witnessed that event were watching breathless. It was breathtaking also, not only for Egyptians. We're pretty familiar with these treasures, but to the whole world. Global interest was gained yesterday. Let us first take your impression about yesterday, and how was the event to you?
Egypt is rising. This is number one. Egypt is rising again. Again and again, Egypt is dazzling the whole world. What we saw yesterday. But let me, before we start talking about yesterday, let me refer to 3 main events happened only within 1 week, last week. At first, the visit of Crown Prince Charles. This is very important because the media outside in the United Kingdom all the time for several years they are showing that Egypt is not a safe place. And he visited Egypt. Then he answered.
He not only visited Egypt, but he toured around districts
and
downtown
the streets.
Egypt.
Exactly. This is number one. Number two, hosting the summit of Comesa at the new capital.
Of course.
Meaning that Egypt is a stable, safe country to visit. Third thing, opening the opera house in the new capital, also having the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, ending by what happened, what we saw yesterday, the opening ceremony of Opet Festival at Karnak and Luxor temples. Right. This is something will encourage the whole people to visit the country, showing that Egypt is a very safe place. Right. Will encourage the people. The whole world now is closing because of what we are suffering from COVID-19.
Of course.
But now Egypt,
But
the
Egypt
whole
is
people
a totally whole new level.
Exactly. And I can put the whole things, the 3 events and what happened yesterday under one sentence: branding Egypt. Make Egypt as a brand, to invite, to encourage the people to visit the country. It's a safe country now. And we saw even yesterday before the ceremony started, His Excellency the President was riding a horse carriage. Anyone who wants to visit Egypt now will repeat, I think, the same thing, riding a horse carriage, walking in Luxor streets. This is very encouraging message to the whole world.
Right, horse carriages also are familiar in some other countries. You can find it in Manhattan, New York, in Fifth Avenue and around Central Park. It's, part of tourism venue. But at the same time, riding horse carriages here and in Luxor and Aswan is a total new experience, different from any other country. Let's talk about this ceremony and the acknowledgement of the ancient Egyptian Opet festival and its history. Talk to us, because the significance of that ceremony is marking one part strongly, the Opet festival, which many of us, even Egyptians, don't know about it. So imagine about other visitors who are non-Egyptians. It must be very exciting to hear about it.
Bringing the past into reality again with no 3D glasses, no virtual reality. They saw everything in front of them. I use as a tour guide when I go to Karnak temple or Luxor temple to talk about the reliefs on the walls of the temples. Right? One of them, the ceremony of Opet festival. Right?
What's the Opet festival?
It's like the holy marriage between the god Amun, the highest worshipped god during the modern kingdom.
The deity.
Yes, dated back 3,500 more or less from now, right? And the priests working in Karnak temple will take the solar boat or the boat we saw yesterday at the festival to Luxor temple. and the god Ammon will meet his wife, goddess Smut, and this is the holy marriage, and the result of this, the prince or the crown prince who will be the king, because the king was worshipped during the modern kingdom as the son of the god. And also, not only the Opet festival, the coronation of the king, the repeated the same. It was the road of festivals happened in Egypt through the modern kingdom, dated back 3,500 years ago. This is very important now to recall the past.
It brings out the sense of festivities and the spirit of festivities. Also very impressive was the statues. We Egyptians know about the statues, and many of us have visited that place before, even before the restoration. But the statues and the story behind the statues and the reason behind why they were situated here, and the road, the Sphinx, the avenue itself of those statues. Talk to us about it.
The statues, of course, any of the kings, the story behind making a statue. Those people believed in eternity. They believed that our lives are very short, and later on the deceased king or the deceased person will go in an eternal journey until he will reach the paradise again. What happened if the mummy lost of the king? That's why they made a statue for the king. Otherwise the spirit will inhabit, will go back again to this is my body, I will return here again. This is the story behind making a statue, right? That's why they made statues everywhere.
Right, but the statue of the Sphinx,
the statue of the Sphinx, the ram-headed, that was one of the holy animals, belongs to worship god Ammon at the time. Some of them are ram-headed, some of them during the last dynasty of our history, the same shape of the king's face, like Naktanebbu, dynasty number 30, the wise of a man represented by a face, and the power of a lion. And same like the ram.
Significance of what?
A wise of a man, this is my face, all right, and the body of the lion, it means
courage.
that yes, exactly. And about the rams and the ram-headed, that was the holy animal of god Ammon, and the body of a lion also, it shows the power of the king. Right, and they wrote their names under the head of the ram or the Sphinx, near Luxor temple, because the distance 2.7 kilometers.
So it's a sequence of philosophy that is reflected to people.
Exactly, because the religion sometimes converted. If, for example, Old Kingdom, they worship the god Ra, the sun disk, and then the god was changed again, and until we reach the modern kingdom in Luxor. The highest god worshipped at the time was the god Ammon, taking several shapes. One of them meaning the meaning of the word Ammon, invisible. Same like we Muslims, Christian, Jewish people, we believe in Allah. Do we see Allah? No. That's why this is the name of god Ammon. Also represented by the geese or the ram or any other animals, because they believed of mythical power of these animals at the time.
Using the musical instruments that was engraved on the walls of Al-Karnak temple was also something that caught our eyes and ears also. You see, the musical of this ceremony was also spectacular. Talk to us about it.
I tell you, before being a tour guide, I was a jazz pianist. I used to play piano.
Really?
Yes. And I had to go, every time I go to the museum in Cairo, the Civilization Museum or Cairo Museum, I was thinking all the time about the harp. And I started to make some study about this. We are the Egyptians, the first nation who reached to listen the musical scale we are hearing now. 7 white, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, plus 5 blacks. And if you count the strings of the harp, same count. Meaning that we reached the same musical scale. And also the classification of any orchestra all over the world now. The string tools, the breath tools, and the percussion tools. This is the classification, but we made it 3,000, maybe more than this, maybe 4.
So you were with the foundation, you know, it feels great. I feel proud. It is a lot of pride to relate the beautiful music of some very popular singers like Louis Armstrong, for example, from the United States, and Aretha Franklin, and those people, to ancient Egyptians. They took the foundation from us, and then they built on it.
Because we are
Is that
the
right
first.
or wrong?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Because we are the first people to reach the knowledge to a musical scale.
So before they amazed the whole world, it was us.
Exactly. Exactly. We are the first people, and you can go to the museum and you will see the musical instruments front of your eyes. And even, I'd like to say something.
Please.
The harp
Harp.
and the oldest band were ladies. And now, after thousands of years, they are talking about the women empowerment. Is there any other nation before Egypt allowed the women to make a musical band? No. No.
Let me add other things, because you reminded me also of the fashion. The dress code of women back then, it was very elegant. And as we can see, the dancers and the costumes that were also reflected and exhibited on that particular ceremony yesterday reflected what we're saying now.
Every letter in our hieroglyphic language, not only the dresses, could be a brand. Could be a brand. We can sell this. Not only the money coming from tourism, but we can dresses make. Why not making fashion shows in Egypt? Making presenting the dresses, the costumes again to the whole as a brand of Egypt. Most of the fashion houses worldwide, sometimes they made the dresses like the Egyptian. Why not? We don't make like this. It's not difficult, and
it's very feminine.
Yes.
At the same time, how important is it, after all what we have touched on right now, to take the advantage or invest on that particular amazing, spectacular ceremony? Not because we are Egyptians, but really it was amazing, with the whole world witnessing that with admiration, and the headlines the next day in the media outlets, how they admired the whole thing, the musical, the dance, the choreography, the history, everything that was exhibited yesterday. So how important is it to invest on that particular ceremony, at least for the winter season?
Winter season will be for culture tourism. Summer season will be for leisure tourism. Of course, this is very important when we show the world what we can produce to them. The industry of tourism, meaning that you cannot stay silent all the time. You need to present something new all the time to the people, otherwise they can come and repeat the visit again. Right? What happened yesterday that we saw the recalling the past, making again, it's a real thing in front of the eye of the whole world now, right? We'll encourage the people again to come and visit Egypt. I have friends from the States, from Japan, from Poland, and when I came back to my house yesterday, many of them, they were talking about sending me messages that they want to come to visit Egypt again. This is very important, because the income coming from tourism to Egypt, like 15% from the national income, right? This is very important industry. We need to build on what happened yesterday, not only the party or the festival.
Right.
Build on this.
But the whole story itself. Commenting on what you're saying, or building on what you're saying, is that, or taking it from you, to follow up over some other countries, like, for example, Mexico. They don't even own one fraction of the treasures that we have, or the history that we have. But look at a city like Cancun, for example, in spring. It's earning a lot of money out of just propaganda, out of just setting, out of just promoting for itself. But we have treasures. We need to make the best use and invest on this history, on this scenery, on this beauty, the extravaganza, the extravagant event that was taken, and the image and everything. How can we do that to be able to attract more visitors?
Turning tourism into an industry of tourism, adding logistics, make Egypt easy to be reached. Like, for example, making the visa entry easier than this. Facilitate what they can, make the people know about Egypt more. Until today, we don't have Egypt Travel Channel, for example. We need to put this on the media. because everyone now wants to visit Egypt. Okay, from where he will get the information needed to visit the country?
But social media and the travelers' experiences and everything, doesn't that count?
It's not enough. It's not enough. Much better if we made for us. And all the people shared yesterday were Egyptians. Why not making Egypt Travel Channel? Why not having official internet site? Otherwise, people who wants to visit the country, they can go directly to this site and
the Ministry of Tourism is not, working on this. I mean, there are many movies that were people to people and other movies that followed. It is similar to what you're saying.
We need it 24/7, all the time, in several languages. As a tour guide, we have at the Syndicate of Tour Guides, for example, 35 languages. We can do this, not depending on making a marketing campaign in Europe or the States or whatever, but having like this travel channel, for example, it will be repeated 24/7. Right? People, they can get how to reach to Egypt, how to take the visa, how to book your hotel, right? How to move inside the country. Make things easy to the people. Let me ask you, in France, for example, they have 80 million visitors. And until 2011, the visitors counted at the time 15 million. Why this 80 million did not visit Egypt? The password is logistics. We need to add logistics, make things easy to the people, right? We need to make market research. We want to penetrate, for example, the Chinese market. We need to study before we ask them to come, how much money they save annually, the way they pay the trip, how can we make the visa easy for them to reach, if they came to Egypt alone by themselves. Because in France, for example, you can visit France and depending on Google or the internet, you can move from point A to point C without any guiding. We need to add all these kind of services to the people, otherwise they can come.
Let's talk about the beautiful city of Luxor, which was the location, the popular location of that spectacular event. You see how beautiful Luxor is. Without those temples, there are of course temples that add beauty, of course, and it add gravity to the image. But at the same time, Luxor in itself, it is a place where you can spend a beautiful vacation in winter and also in summer. And you have the gastronomy of Luxor, which is the cuisine of Luxor, the people of Luxor, the community of Luxor, the environment of Luxor. I mean, so many things that distinguish Luxor from other cities. I mean, I'm not an expert, but at the same time, I can have my own impression when I visit Luxor.
Luxor contains quarter of the world's monuments all over, not compared to anywhere else in the world, right? People of Luxor, by default, 200-300 years ago, they meet with tourism, the people who wants to visit Egypt. 200-300, by default now, they are very well prepared to host the people who come to visit, right? And also the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, they give not only for winter season, they encourage the people during the summer season because the weather is little bit hot in Luxor, but you can enjoy also the Nile cruise,
of course,
giving them discounts on the entrance fees for the temples, for example. And I would like to ask or to request the Ministry of Tourism and the people who are working in travel agencies to add more programs, not only the Karnak Temple and Luxor Temple and the Valley of the Kings. We have other monuments to be visited. We need to put this into the media, otherwise people will be encouraged to visit. This year he visited Karnak, and next year he will visit Habu Temple and the Deir el-Medina, for example. We have monuments, an unbelievable amount of monuments in Luxor.
Right. On that very inspiring note, we're going to be ending it here. Of course, Mr. Tarek Sarhan, you are a Japanese, Polish, English tour guide. Thank you so much, and you have a beautiful day. Best of all the best to you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. And I guess we're going to go to a short break, and we'll come to continue the breakfast show, so stay with us.